We're pleased today to have our guest, Travis Guillory, with us from Theatre Tulsa. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Tulsa Talks is the podcast that is inspiring people to have everyday meaningful conversations to gain perspective and help the world.
Tell me about Theatre Tulsa, the history of it, and we'll start there.
Yeah, that's a good place to start, right? At the very beginning, right? So Theatre Tulsa is a 103-year-old theater company. We are the longest running and the largest nonprofit theater company in the state of Oklahoma. We're actually the 7th oldest in the nation. And so you think back, like a theater company that survived the Great Depression, has been through all of American history basically in the last 103 years, and is today, I think, stronger than it ever was, is pretty impressive. And so Theatre Tulsa, we're known for kind of our big musicals that we do at the Performing Arts Center. We do 4 or 5 of those every year. We also do some smaller productions at our Theatre Tulsa studio space, which is located around 56th and Peoria. And we have our kind of black box theater space there, seats about 80, 90 people. So we do some smaller productions there. We do our bigger shows at the PAC. We also have some pretty cool programs where folks can co-produce shows with us in our space if they're looking, for a venue for their space, or they might not have the resources to get a production off the ground. We do. We have the staff and the means to help folks who want to produce that kind of stuff. And then we also have Theatre Tulsa Academy, which is our youth program for ages 5 to 18. We've got like our Broadway beginners, our 5 to 7-year-olds, Broadway boot camp, ages 8 to 12, and then our Broadway Bound, which is for the teens, ages 13 to 18. And that's year-round programming that we have. We do kind of different programs in the spring semester, the fall semester, and then we have 3 summer camps that we do kind of simultaneously in the summer. And we've got about 300 kids that come through our program every year. And so, between the adult shows that we do, we just closed Hairspray at the PAC. We've got Rent coming up there. We're going to...
Old school.
Oh, yeah.
Ones that have been running for a long time but still have a draw.
Exactly. But then some new school stuff that we also mix in there. We were actually selected to make the regional premiere of Frozen in January, which is going to be a 3-week run, which is going to be a great thing for families. We have a lot of other programming that we're doing around that show to engage kids, engage families.
Yeah, my great niece loves that show.
Oh, I have not met a kid who doesn't love Frozen. That's why whenever it was offered to us, I jumped on it because I was like, we got to do Frozen.
How long have you been working with Theatre Tulsa?
So I've been working with Theatre Tulsa. I moved to Tulsa in 2017, and having done theater since I was 9 years old, and directing and choreographing and things, I immediately started auditioning for things with Theatre Tulsa whenever I moved here in 2017, and then...
How much do people get paid that do the acting?
So the actors are all volunteer actors. A lot of our contracted artists, the directors and choreographers and music directors, are paid. But for the most part, we're working with hundreds and hundreds of just Tulsans or folks just in the region. We have people that drive in from, Claremore or Cushing to come and be in our shows.
To work for free.
To work for free, just to do it because they love it, it's fulfilling, and it's also doing something really, really special for the community too. But yeah, let me finish answering your first question of how long I've been doing it. So yeah, I kind of got involved with Theatre Tulsa that way, and then started directing and choreographing for them, and then started running the education program, and then made my way to become the executive director full-time last summer, and made a lot of pretty big, significant changes and kind of changed the business model a little bit. And
what was the condition of it financially when you took over a year ago or so?
Yeah, I feel like nonprofit organizations, no matter what they are, whether it's theater, whether it's, whatever the nonprofit is, has its ups and downs. I, came into it in one of the down times. And so I kind of looked at everything, and I think that was one of the reasons why they brought me on. It was like, we need somebody who can come up with fresh ideas, because the business model wasn't quite working. And I think it was just kind of like, we need to change things up, but we don't really know what those changes need to be. And so I kind of came in with a fresh perspective and said, well, if we did this, we did that, we didn't do that, we didn't do that, we did this instead, we might be in a more sustainable place. Because again, with a nonprofit, things kind of go up and down. With theater especially, you're taking a big risk. Are people going to come and see the show? Is this a show people want to see? Is this a show people want to be in? What's going to be the interest? And you really don't know that until the curtain goes up and you see who's in the audience. And sometimes it's a lot of people, sometimes it's not a lot of people. So,
Yeah. What is the lowest number of attendees that you've seen at the PAC for one of your shows since 17?
Yeah.
Roughly.
Yeah, I mean, so most of our shows happen in the Williams Theater, which is one of the smaller theaters downstairs. Not a lot of people know that there's smaller theaters downstairs, not just the Big Chapman. And that's about a 420, 430 seat theater. And I mean, sometimes we've got, maybe 15, 20% capacity in there. But then sometimes we got 300-400 people in there. And so it really is a gamble. And so you really have to make sure that you're choosing the right shows, you're making the right moves, you're doing the right programming to engage the community enough to get them to understand why they need to support something like Theatre Tulsa for the betterment of Tulsa and just the quality of life here.
What does theater matter?
Oh, man, how much time do we have? I think theater matters because it is a reflection of humanity live on stage. You can watch a movie and connect with characters and empathize with people and like learn about just like humanity and what people are going through, or just how creative people can be. Wow, who would have thought that, But to see it live in person, breathing the same air as those people on stage, and also experiencing it with other people in the room too. It's not just you at home watching Netflix. You're in the room with all these other people who are interested in seeing this and experiencing this. And then from the actor's perspective on stage, you're giving to that audience what they're giving to you. And so there's a lot of,
I call it energy exchange.
I was about to say, it sounds hippy-dippy. It's an energy exchange. I mean, it's a give and take. And at the end of the day, I mean, art reflects life. I mean, like whether that's visual art, performing arts, whatever. But to be in the same room with a bunch of people, experiencing something and just learning about humanity and having that energy exchange is something so powerful that you can't get from any other medium.
Yeah. Kind of amazing to me how we all look out of our own perspectives at things. Yeah. And that person that's sitting beside you might be seeing something completely different than what you're seeing.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting to hear, whenever people walk out of the theater, what the reactions are. And, everything that a theater company does is not everybody's cup of tea, and that's okay. But I think people should still experience the things that aren't their cup of tea. A lot of people don't like musicals. Well, that's kind of our bread and butter. But there's a lot of other amazing theater companies in town who are doing non-musicals and who are also doing original works and plays people haven't heard of yet. So it's like, just because it's not a mainstream thing that maybe you haven't heard of, go to the theater, go experience it, go learn something. And if you don't like it, like you don't vibe with it, that's okay too.
Yeah. I've always been more of a participant than a attendee.
Yeah.
I haven't done theater since high school.
Oh.
40 years ago.
What did you do in high school?
Ago. Drama class and that sort of thing. My wife loves theater.
Yeah.
And I get bored out of my head.
Really?
To be honest with you. But being a participant, I love it.
Yeah.
How do you guys attract people to come in and be part of the show?
A lot of that just comes from like the shows that we pick. When we start planning our season, which is usually about, almost a year in advance, my thing is always, the criteria is two things. Are people going to want to be in this? And are people going to want to see this? Because you can't do a show that nobody wants to be in, and you can't make money from a show that nobody's going to want to see. And so whenever we're kind of looking at the shows and the programming, even for like the kid shows and stuff, it's like, what do kids want to be in right now? You know, what are the types of things that kids are interested in, that adults are interested in right now? And we just blast out all of that programming and all of those shows. And I mean, we've had some really good response, especially with this season. I think we did a really good job of energizing the community again, specifically the theater community, of like, wow, they're doing Hairspray and Rent and Frozen and Gypsy. And then also they're now doing all these cool things in their studio space. One of the things I'm most excited about actually in the spring, we're doing a production of You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, which I'm directing. But I was like, what if we did You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, and there were 3 casts that had different performances. There was a cast of kids, there was a cast of adults, and there was a cast of senior citizens. And what that does is, yes, like You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, it's cute, it's the Peanuts, you like really can't go wrong with that. But like, I would want to see how kids do it versus adults versus senior citizens. And what that also does is that triples the number of people involved. That has outreach for kids, that has outreach for senior citizens, and that triples the number of audience members that are going to come and see this. Because for me, I think for every one person who is in a community theater production, that's about 12 to 15 tickets that you're selling. You put a kid in a show, that's about 20 to 25 tickets that you're selling, because mom and dad are going to come more than once, aunts, uncles, grandparents, friends. And so just being very strategic about our programming and the shows that we're picking and how we're doing them. We're not just doing You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown at our black box space. We're doing it with 3 different generations of casts as kind of a cool artistic theater experiment that will also bring in more people from the community.
103 years.
103 years.
What's your background that gave you the ability or has equipped you to step into the role of director? You said you worked with Theatre Tulsa for a little while.
Yeah.
Since 17 until 2024. For the last year, you've been the director. Mm-hmm. What's your background?
Yeah.
How did you get here?
Yeah, so I mean, I've been doing theater, like much like you know, in school and whatnot since I was 9 years old. And then I was always that kid because I went to a small private Catholic school that didn't have an actual theater department. So like I was that really annoying kid that would go in the principal's office and be like, I want us as a school to produce this show and I want to direct it. And somehow I convinced the people, I made it happen. So like I feel like I've been producing theater since I was a kid, basically.
In a leadership position, producing it.
Yeah, yeah.
Making it happen.
Just making it happen in the cafeteria lobby. We got lights. I had a live band. Like, I don't know how a 14-year-old did that. But it's like looking ahead, it's like where I am now makes sense. And I didn't go into theater professionally as a performer because I didn't really see that as an attractive lifestyle for me to like go to New York, audition. You finally land a role. Oh, the funding falls through. Now you're back to square one. Like, and just trying to like live in a big city like New York or Chicago and do big theater just didn't seem attractive to me when I was a teenager. And so I went to school actually for public relations, just wanting to get more in like the communications field. And then that led me into journalism and news media and television. And then, but so much of that I also pull from of like my communications experience and like my theater background. And so everything kind of funneled into this one position. And so whenever it became available, it was like, well, let me shoot my shot. And if I'm qualified, I'm qualified. If I'm not and they get somebody better, I would much rather than pick somebody better who has better ideas than me. Because, you know, there are people around the country that lead massive theater companies and have millions and millions of dollars. You know, if you can get that person in here, great. I think that Theatre Tulsa is more of a community-based type of organization. We're a very confusing organization because we look really big from the outside. We look like this regional theater doing really big shows. But at the end of the day, it's a community theater in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's fueled by volunteers. It's fueled by donations. It's fueled by people who are passionate about the arts and passionate about Theatre Tulsa, and specifically the arts in general in Tulsa, who want to see that 103-year-old legacy staying. We don't act like we're some big fancy theater company, because we understand that our mission, our goal is community oriented, and it's about bringing people in and engaging people and getting people excited about the arts and theater, and just working with one another.
Yeah, my daughter went to Tulsa Community College for a couple of years on whatever they call that Oklahoma program, where if you have certain grades, you get to go to school for free. And she worked in the theatrical arts department. She worked in the stage building side of it, hammering boards together.
Some real hands-on stuff.
Hands-on. Well, acting or being in a show is absolutely hands-on. It's all body on, right?
Yeah.
In front of everybody.
Head to toe, there you are.
Just exposed.
Yeah.
I mean, you have clothes, but you're exposed.
Right, yeah.
She worked behind the scenes. And you guys have Theatre Tulsa, which is a historic company and that does great things. What does it take from building out the sets and all of that sort of thing? Do you have people come in and help with that as well?
Yeah. So, I mean, we've got a really fantastic technical director who's on our staff full-time, who kind of manages our set shop downtown. We've got this massive warehouse downtown that's kind of like walking through, I don't know, like, you see like the giant can from Hairspray. You see the bit, like, it's a really cool thing. It honestly could be a museum. And so he's kind of the lead on all of the set construction, all the technical aspects of it. But we've got people all the time saying, hey, I would love to come in and help to paint things. You know, I'm not good with tools, but I can, do whatever. And like, even all the way down to the props, it's like, hey, if y'all ever need, I've got all of these things that we do. We have a huge costume shop that has thousands of costumes. And we've got people all the time wanting to donate things. Like, we have crazy stuff that comes out of estate sales and things like that. And then we have volunteers that want to come in and just help to organize the costumes and help to make the costumes. And so, I mean, it really is an army of, probably up to 100 people for one show when you factor in the volunteer actors, the production team themselves, the director, choreographer, music director, stage manager, and then just, the army of people that we have doing the nitty-gritty work, all just because they're passionate about that and they feel some type of fulfillment from doing that type of work, because they understand, even though I might just be, a seamstress doing a little thing in the back, on stage, there could be a kid in the audience who's having their first theater experience, who has never been exposed to this type of art before that could possibly change their life. And it's like, you kind of lose sight of that kind of stuff whenever you're in the kind of trenches of getting the show on its feet and all of that. But it's like, there's always going to be that kid. There's always going to be, that 85-year-old person who this has been their favorite show for decades now, and they're finally able to see it live on stage for the first time. So every little stitch, every little paintbrush, like everything is all to create something special for the community, and everybody has a part in it. And again, like we said, most of them are volunteers volunteering their time to do it.
Yeah, it's all intertwined, and for any of it to be at a level of excellence, it all has to be at a level of excellence.
Right. And I also think at a level of excellence, but it also has to have the heart behind it. And you have to have the people behind it who want to achieve that excellence, but also want to build that community and be a part of something bigger than themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, that's part of being excellent, right? Is to have the right heart.
You got the right heart for it.
How do people get involved with Theatre Tulsa?
Yeah, got a website. We got theatretulsa.org. You can go to learn more how to volunteer. You can sign up for specific things if you want to help with set, costumes, whatever. You can go to theatretulsa.org to do that. Also, you can sign up for audition notices to get emails whenever we have auditions coming up for things. But the best place is our website at theatretulsa.org.
And they can sign up to do whatever they want.
Whatever they want to do. I will never turn somebody away who wants to help out a nonprofit theater company.
Thanks for coming today, Travis.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
We are here to help you discover or develop your passions, how you can use them, and why you exist. How can we help you help others better?